places where the world feels thinner, where something shifts, where the path splits, and you feel it, that quiet awareness that you are not entirely alone. The ancient world had a name for that presence: Hecate. Not a goddess of the sky, not of the sea, but of the places in between. Hecate was not originally part of the Olympian order. She was older, a Titan-born goddess, a power that existed before the hierarchy of gods was fully defined. And unlike many of the older deities, she was never fully erased. She was absorbed. In early Greek texts, including Hesiod's Theogony, Hecate is described not as dark, but as immensely powerful. She held influence over the earth, the sea, and the heavens. A rare thing. Even Zeus, king of the gods, did not strip her of power. He honored it. But over time, her domain became more specific, more liminal, more difficult to define. She became the goddess of the crossroads, of thresholds, of boundaries. And in the ancient world, crossroads were not simple places. They were charged, unstable, sacred. Archaeologists have uncovered small shrines dedicated to Hecate, placed at three-way intersections throughout the Greek world. These were not grand temples. They were intimate, stone markers, carved pillars, small statues known as Hecatea, often depicting her in triple form: 3 faces, 3 bodies, facing 3 directions at once. Not because she was divided, but because she saw what others could not. At these crossroads, people left offerings: food, garlic, eggs, honey cakes known as Deipnon. This was not worship in the traditional sense. It was negotiation, respect, protection. Because Hecate was believed to move with spirits, to walk with the restless dead, to exist at the edge of what was visible and what was not. And people knew better than to ignore that. Every month, at the dark moon, households would perform what we now call Hecate's Deipnon. They would gather offerings and leave them at crossroads under cover of night. Not to ask for something, but to clear something, to release what no longer belonged, to protect the home from what lingered unseen. This was boundary work, long before we had language for it. Hecate was also invoked in ancient magical texts. Fragments of spells found in the Greek Magical Papyri, dating from roughly 200 BCE to 400 CE, call upon her as a guide, a key holder, a torchbearer through darkness. In these texts, she is not feared. She is relied upon. She is asked to open the way, to reveal hidden things, to stand at the threshold between worlds and allow safe passage. But here's where things begin to shift. As religious structures became more controlled, more centralized, power that existed outside of hierarchy became harder to hold. Hecate did not belong to temples alone. She existed in the margins, in the unseen, in personal practice, and that made her uncomfortable. So over time, her image changed. She became associated with night, with ghosts, with witchcraft. Not because she became darker, but because the world around her became less willing to engage with what she represented. The unknown, the boundary, the space where transformation happens. Because crossroads are not just physical places, they are moments. A decision you can't undo, a version of yourself you can't return to, a path forward that requires leaving something behind. And that is where Hecate lives, not in chaos, not in fear, but in the moment where you must choose. Archaeology shows us where she was honored. Ancient texts show us how she was invoked. But her real power was never in the ritual alone. It was in what she represented. Clarity in uncertainty, protection in transition, power at the edge of the unknown. And that kind of power doesn't disappear. It just becomes quieter. And maybe what we're seeing now, in the return of symbols, of ritual, of attention to the unseen, is not something new, but something remembered. Because every time you stand at a crossroads and feel that pause, that awareness, that something matters here, you are standing in a place people have stood for thousands of years. And whether you name her or not, that presence has always been there, waiting, not to be worshipped, but to be recognized. Magen and Moon, where ancient symbols, ritual, and quiet power meet. If this spoke to you, subscribe and stay a while.